Hello Internet, real treat for me now because I'm going to take a little break from the Wrong Turn movies and dip my toe into a TV series, Freddy's Nightmares, the Nightmare on Elm Street TV series. Never aired here in the UK. I think we got a few VHS tapes and a few episodes on DVD. There's a couple of episodes on the Blu-ray Nightmare on Elm Street Complete Collection. I've historically only seen a handful of episodes. There are 44 in total, so we're going to take them two at a time and dip into the first episode, which aired in October 1988, just a few short weeks after Nightmare 4, The Dream Master, was released in the cinema, and Freddy was at the height of his pop stardom, I guess is the best way to describe it. At that point, he'd come out of the shadows by that point and was singing with the Fat Boys. So as a massive horror fan and de facto as a result of that a massive Nightmare on Elm Street fan, Wes Craven, we're not worthy. This is a whole area of the Freddy universe that I haven't had a chance to explore. You know, I've read the comics, I've read the novelizations, the films time and time again, but the TV series not so much. So this is going to be a good little adventure for me, and we're going to kick off with the first episode, No More Mr. Nice Guy. So let's see how that pans out. Do you want to help me review the episode? Did you like it? He's not so fussed. But that was Season 1, Episode 1 of Freddy's Nightmares, an episode called No More Mr. Nice Guy. Let me grab my notes. Let me grab my Freddy notes. First aired 8th of October 1988. It was written by Michael DeLuca, we'll mention him again in a minute, David Ehrman and Rhett Topham, and it was directed by a guy named Toby Hooper. Where have I heard that name before? Oh yeah, a little film called Texas Chainsaw Massacre, another little film called Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, and something you may have seen, Poltergeist. And any Freddy fan worth their salt will remember the story that Nancy's mum told her in the first movie of the child killer Fred Krueger, who went to trial but was let off on a technicality, and a group of the parents tracked him down, hunted him down, and burnt him to death. This episode essentially tells that story. So this is the first time we delve really deeply into Freddy's backstory. We've already had part 3 in the movies, so the bastard son of 1,000 maniacs we've touched upon, but this is the first time we really see Freddy pre-Dream Demon, until really Freddy's Dead, where we spend a lot more time with the human Fred Krueger. And I said we'd mention Michael DeLuca again because he wrote the screenplay for Freddy's Dead, based on a story by Rachel Talalay, the director, and long-time Nightmare crew member, producer. Her history with the series goes right back to the start. So Michael DeLuca here obviously likes this particular scene to mine of Freddy pre-Dream Demon. So that's what we get here. You get the boon of the phenomenal Robert Englund, and the downside of that is they don't really do much with Robert Englund. Throughout the rest of the series, he acts more as a Rod Serling character, acting as a sort of host, introducing the episodes and acting as a buffer for the ad breaks. But you've got Robert Englund here, and I really wish they'd used him more. That's not to say it's not fun. It's a fun episode. I would have just loved them to use Freddy more. Some weird choices. You never see Freddy's face. Robert Englund doing a lot of back acting and hand acting. I'll never have a word said against Robert Englund. The man is amazing. So what he's got to do here, he does a wonderful job with. Some highlights for me, something I've never seen before. On a few occasions in the first half of the episode, we see the world through Freddy's eyes, and that is a creepy place to live. Everything is suddenly lit red. There's moans and screams in the background, voices whispering to him, and it's his fantasy world. It's how he sees the world, and that's freaking awesome. Never seen it in the movies, never seen it anywhere else. That's an amazing little touch. Another little touch that I liked, maybe someone can comment and put me straight on this. Years and years and years ago, I read a fair few of the Nightmare on Elm Street novelizations, and there's a little detail that's always stuck with me from one of the novelizations. I can't remember which, or maybe it's a short story that was added to the companion book for the novelizations of 1 to 3. But in this, Freddy drives around in an ice cream truck, and I'm convinced I can remember one of the novelizations mentioning that he used to drive around in an old battered up ice cream truck, and that's how he lured the kids to him. The ice cream trucks here, I'm convinced I'm not making that up. I don't think I'm going insane. I'm pretty sure that's from one of the books. So it was really cool to see that. The cop who arrested him forgot to read him his Miranda rights, and the reason he forgot to read him his Miranda rights is because Freddy was coming for his kids, twin girls, who, I have it on good authority, the internet, that these girls are going to pop up in a later episode. But he was so freaked out that Freddy was going after his kids, he had the choice of either shooting him stone cold dead or arresting him. He arrested him and he fudged reading him his rights. That's why Freddy's allowed to go free. So for the first half, the dramatic tension is this cop who is wanting to arrest him by the book, and the townsfolk that are wanting to kill him, lynch mob him, vigilante justice. The irony being that Freddy goes straight back to the cop's house to get the kids, and it's actually the vigilante mob that's around the house that actually scare him off and save his kids. Fun trivia fact that I spotted, because the cop lives on Elm Street. He lives at 3954 Elm Street, so we know quite a ways down the road at 1428 little Nancy's probably going to be asleep in her bedroom a little bit further down, and the vigilantes trap him in his boiler room. The cop shows up to stop them, but Freddy taunts him and says that I got interrupted with your daughters, but you know, we're going to have some fun with them. And weirdly, the cop loses it, douses him in petrol. Freddy just stands there and lets him do it. He's almost taunting him, I dare you, I dare you. And it's really hard to tell up to a certain point whether Freddy genuinely doesn't think that he's going to burn him alive until he does it. He actually says, what is it? I'd rather burn up than fade away, which is a nice little nod to a Who song. But then as he's burning, he starts screaming, I'm free, I'm free. So there's obviously a hint there that Freddy knows, I don't know how, it's not explained, that he's going to become demonic, gain supernatural powers. That's never touched upon. Michael DeLuca gets the chance to go back and write in some, is it Mesopotamian dream demons to explain it? Yeah, I kind of wish he hadn't. Those weird 3D rod puppet things, not good. Not even the remake uses Mesopotamian dream demon rod puppets, so the second part of the story, once Freddy is dead, follows the cop as Freddy's now in the dream world, and he starts to bring the cop's world down around him. A lovely opening to the second half of the episode, where we get a shot outside his house, and it's backlit through the door, and there's fog, and they use the red and green gel lights that they got so enamoured with during Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. So the look of Freddy and the look of the dream world is exactly on a par with how the movie franchise looked at that point. So we've got a Nightmare on Elm Street 4 Freddy for this TV show, with his quips and his gags and the woozy red and green sort of neon gel lights. Weirdly, in the first half, the cop's wife was really cold towards him, and oh, you should have killed him, you should have protected our kids. And when he does kill him in the second half, she's coming on to him all the time, and now that he's a murderer, she finds him weirdly attractive. But he's actually weighed down with guilt, and we start to lose the definitive barrier between dreams and reality, what's real, what's not real. One of his colleagues tells him that the FBI are coming in to investigate a series of statewide murders, the wine. But he's already killed Freddy, so he's freaking out about that. And a little bit later on in the episode, he's like, well, what do you mean the feds are coming? I never said the feds were coming. But he's starting to freak out, so he gets one of his cop friends to move Freddy's body from the boiler room and hide it somewhere. Another nice bit of trivia here, he moves it to the boot of a car in an old junkyard, where from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, the amazing John Saxon playing Nancy's dad reveals that that's where his mortal remains were left, and that's when they have, if you remember, that weird Ray Harryhausen fight scene with the shovel versus stop motion skeleton Freddy, which freaking awesome. So that all ties in really nicely. They hide his body in the same place that we already know that they hid his body. I really wish they could have got John Saxon back. That would have just been the icing on the cake. The poor guy, I didn't make a note of his name. It's in my notes here, I think. Ian Patrick Williams as the cop. Lieutenant Tim Blocker doesn't do the greatest job. Just makes you wish they'd got John Saxon back. That would have been fucking amazing. Freddy starts messing with this guy's head. One of the twins throughout the episode is mute. There's hints that Freddy was doing things to her when he was found, so she's traumatized. But a couple of times in this episode, she starts the sing-songy 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, and starts sing-songing to her dad, he's in my dreams and your dreams now, which is really nice and creepy. But towards the end of the episode, the cop says, what is it? Freddy's poisoned this place, he owns it. And I think that's the remit moving forwards. Freddy's not going to be in every single episode, but the idea is that his evil and his influence has now made Springwood toxic. So we'll see if that pans out in episodes moving forward. I kind of think that's the case, but we'll see. And at the denouement of the episode, the cop goes to the dentist to get a cap on his tooth. Freddy caused him to have a car accident and he chipped his tooth. And while he's under with the gas, Freddy gets to kill him in the dentist's office with a custom glove with all drill bits straight in his mouth. And in the real world, the nurse and the dentist believe he died of a heart attack under the effects of the gas. So that's it. Freddy's loose in the dream world, and he's going to be doing what we know and love him for. It's a fairly solid first episode. It was good fun. I'd have liked, if I had a wish list, much more Robert Englund, and in some alternate timeline somewhere, John Saxon got to play the cop, which would have made this just the best episode. So we're going to move on to, really quickly, episode 2. It's a Miserable Life. Okay, episode 2, It's a Miserable Life, aired on 15th of October 1988. Act 1 centres around a character called Brian, and there's classic Nightmare on Elm Street themes in this first act. Brian wants to leave Springwood and go to college, but his parents want him to stay in the town and take over the family business, which is a fast food joint called Beefy Boy, and their little tagline is "Eat Me." This whole segment is really reminiscent of Alice's dream, where she sees herself as an elderly lady still working at the Crave Inn in Springwood. So her nightmare is never leaving this town and working in the same dead-end job. So it was seen first here, so it's a theme that plays out again in the movies. If you've ever seen Jacob's Ladder or films like Hellraiser, Hellseeker or Inferno, which are really cheap knockoffs of Jacob's Ladder, then this would be really familiar territory to you, except this came in 1988, 2 years before Jacob's Ladder. So right at the start of Act 1, he's pulling the late shift at Beefy Boy. All his friends are going off partying, but he has to stay there. He's got his responsibilities, and a biker comes and shoots him in the head. And was it a dream? But everything goes really weird from there on in. And what was, I'm sure, really original then, anyone watching it now will be really familiar with it. You will learn, unsurprisingly, that he was actually killed, and everything we see subsequent to this in his story is post-mortem. So the weird journey he goes through trying to escape, and his parents trying to pull him back, and all of that weirdness has become a familiar trope. But given that this is 2 years before Jacob's Ladder, that was the first thing that popped into my head. What's real, what's not real? And this got there first, so props to that. The best little detail in this, because he gets shot in the forehead right at the start, and then wakes up and thinks it was a dream. He fell asleep on the late shift, but he fell asleep on his graduation book, whatever they're called. He was nominated most likely to leave Springwood, and he left a little spot of blood where his forehead was laying. And throughout this act, anytime he looks down, whatever he's over, the floor, tabletop, a glass of water, little drops of blood keep falling down, and he keeps touching his forehead to find out where the blood's coming from, and nothing's there. But at the end of Act 1, he calls his girlfriend to come, and she says she's going to come and hang out with him for his shift. And right at the very end of Act 1, we see her pull up again. He's just been shot. The biker drives away, clips her, and oh my god, everything that we've just seen was going on in his head. The biker turns up in Act 2 because the story then follows this girlfriend character, Karen, as she's taken into the hospital. And the biker character turns up again as an orderly in the hospital. He's got a really nice creepy sort of Bob from Twin Peaks kind of vibe going to him, and for the purposes of this episode he's very clearly our Freddy analogue. Is he actually Freddy? Is he not? We'll leave that for you to decide. Is Freddy fucking with them? Probably. It's more fun if we play Spot the Freddy. Robert Englund, completely understandably, is not going to get into that makeup for every single episode, bar the little intro clips and stuff like that. Don't blame him for that for one frickin' second. He hated that makeup, completely understandably. So certain characters will be Freddy stand-ins, I feel, moving forwards. The second act, Karen, the girlfriend. Trivia fans, she's played by La Park Lincoln, who you will know as Tina Shepherd from Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, which was the first time Kane Hodder got to be Jason. Probably my favourite Jason. The episode, by the way, is directed by Tom McLaughlin, who was the director of Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives, the start of Zombie Jason. Act 2 is Karen in the hospital, and she's got a fear of hospitals, and again lots of weird things start happening to her. They put her under sedation to operate on her to take the bullet out, and she keeps waking up throughout the procedure. So there's lots of POV shots from her point of view of the surgeons and the nurses all leaning in and staring and pulling bits out of her, or she goes back under and wakes up and they're smoking, or one of them sneezes on her, and it gets weirder and weirder. She keeps getting told, don't worry, your parents are coming throughout the episode. She's like, what? My parents can't be coming. I'll leave it to you to guess the twist there. The parents do show up at the end, but I'll leave you to fill in the dots as to why it's impossible that her parents are turning up. A couple of nice nods in Act 2. The doctor's called Dr. Serling, which is an obvious reference to Rod Serling and the amazing Twilight Zone, him being the host and genius creator of that, because the format of this show borrows quite heavily from the Twilight Zone. And also occupying the bed next to her is a body that's being kept alive but continually covered up, and the body's charts say hopeless basket case, body donated for parts, and that patient is called M. Shrek, which is a nice nod to Max Shrek, the actor who played Count Orlok in Nosferatu. She gets her mouth sewn up at one point. That's pretty gruesome. And it's fairly standard fare, but given that it was, what, 1988, so that would be 26 years ago, it probably wasn't standard for the time. A lot of people watching Twilight Zone episodes now, I would imagine, will guess the twist, but put it into context. Those things would have been original at the time. So it's a fun episode, nice sort of twisty-turny dream logic, and stuff that got riffed on for better, Jacob's Ladder, or worse, Hellraiser, Hellseeker, and in many other things, I'm sure. Really nice to see Lara Park Lincoln in it. Wasn't expecting her. Always nice to see her. So it was a good fun episode. You have to work to weave Freddy into it if you want to really inject Freddy into the mythology of this episode. But it can be done, and Robert Englund's pre and post ad break parts are excellent. At the start of Act 2, when she's brought into the hospital, all the lights are on the fritz and going on and off, and Dr. Serling says, who's sorting out that backup generator? And then we cut down to the generator room, and Freddy's in a surgeon's gown and surgeon's mask, and he's just taking his glove to the electrics and sparking them off, fucking everything up. And at the very end, where Karen is has she been driven mad? Is she dreaming? Is she not dreaming? We just cut back to Freddy watching on from behind the scenes, and Robert Englund is super creepy in that end, but he's still in the surgeon's gown, and he just looks at the camera. He's like a panther, all menace and sexy, if you can call Freddy sexy. Just looks at the camera and says, "Don't worry, we make house calls," and then just slopes off. Robert Englund's so fucking cool. This was a good fun episode. Yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I think I've got the measure of it. Let's see if any of the episodes to come surprise me. But I'm really digging this. It's great fun. So I think we'll carry on doing these and see what the rest of Freddy's Nightmares has to offer. So hopefully you'll join me as I keep dropping more of these as and when I watch them. Take care.